Welcome to another edition of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and today we have with us a longtime friend of mine, family friend. Our moms went to school together, and we went to school together. Amber Fields. Amber, what is your last name now? I know you got married.
Lacy now.
Amber
Amber Lacy.
Amber
Yes.
Lacy. Good deal. Good deal. So, Amber, just main thing I want to talk to you about today is just your fitness journey. I've been following you along on your Instagram and whatnot, and I see you got the name One Fit Mom. So can
Yes.
you talk to me what inspired that?
I would say One Fit Mom came about probably during the pandemic. Um, it was a really stressful time. At the time, I was active duty military, and then I was also a mom to two kids. And so all of those things were new to me, and it was very overwhelming. And so, yeah, I think it sparked a lot of anxiety,
Mhm.
and I had never dealt with that before. And so for me, it was a new thing that I was going through and just trying to navigate through that. I was like, I have to do something because I started developing heart palpitations,
Oh,
and there were other health issues that I had started to encounter. And I was like, I have to do something. I was going to doctors. Everyone was like, oh, you're fine, but I didn't feel fine. And so for me, um, that's kind of where I really got consistent with working out. I've always been active, I've always been an athlete, but never really got into weight training like I am now. And so that kind of is where it started for me. Um, but yeah, and here we are today, 4 years later. I can't believe it's been that long, but still going strong.
okay. Like I tell everybody, the last 4 years have been on like fast forward, basically. Like just sitting in the house like a year and a half of those. I mean, that proves it. But you were talking about you were having heart palpitations, like, and then you said your doctors were telling you you feel you're good. So can you talk to me like was your blood pressure elevated? Was your BMI out of whack? What's up with that?
So initially, it started. I would say I also experienced, just to go back, a little bit of postpartum as well.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I think that's really when it started for me. I wasn't getting much sleep. I worked in a high stress level position in the
Mhm.
military. And I was also, again, a new mom to, at the time, I had a 15-month-old and a newborn. And so I think all of those things piled on top of each other. It really, and if I'm being honest, I noticed it maybe for 6 months that I just kind of ignored it. And when it got to the point where it was like, okay, something's not right. And when I say heart palpitations, I mean, just the skipping of the
Right,
heartbeat
right, right.
and feeling like I'm being attacked by a bear is how they describe it, how a counselor would describe it. But yeah, just experiencing all these symptoms, and I was going to the doctors. So during that time, my blood pressure was elevated. I was getting high readings, and that was the first time that I'd ever received a high reading for high blood pressure, and that lasted almost a year. And
Jesus.
so it also kickstarted my passion for nutrition
Right.
because the more research that I did, I realized like, okay, we have to now check, what are you eating?
Hmm.
How are you working out? Because it goes more into it than just, are you running and working out, being active. You also have to check the, what are you stressing about? And so there were a lot of things that I realized I needed to change in my life, and that's kind of what led me on the path of nutrition.
Okay. Uh, so talk to me about that because you did. I mean, we're kind of going at the end and then working our way back to the beginning. But can you talk me through your You did like a 30-day juice or a 60-day juice. Can you talk me about that?
So before I did that, I started off doing like a 21-day fast, and that was just through my church. I did the Daniel fast, and that was my first time ever doing any type of cleanse or detox. And for me, it was more spiritual for more spiritual reasons.
Hmm.
And the way that I was eating was just a part of that. But during that time, I noticed that I was sleeping better, my energy was coming back. I wasn't experiencing the heart palpitations. And so I was like, okay, I'm onto something.
Mhm.
And that kind of led me into, and again, during my research, I discovered juicing. Um, I found this guy, his name is John Rose. I don't know if you've ever heard of him on YouTube, but he helped millions of people through juice fast. And so I just kind of picked up on that. And as I dug into it more and did more research, I learned how to juice, what type of juicer to buy, and I just started doing that. And so I started off with a 3-day juice fast,
Okay.
and probably one of the hardest things that I had ever done at that time.
Okay.
And that kind of led me into juicing daily. So that's a part of my everyday routine now.
Okay.
But fast forward, I just completed a 60-day raw food diet. And so, well, I'm not going to say a diet, it was a raw food fast. Um, and that's where I only ate fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, smoothies, nuts, and seeds, no cooked foods.
No cooked foods. Okay. And what was the thought process behind that?
Um, what can you
So like what were you hoping to gain out of that? Or what did you gain out of that?
So for me, again, it was so just to go back, when I mentioned I was dealing with a lot of health issues. So on top of that, there were beyond the health or the heart palpitation, sorry, and the high blood pressure, there were a lot of hormonal issue imbalances.
Mhm.
And so I really just wanted to feel like my old self again. And that's kind of my mindset going into it. I would say, and I also last year injured my back.
Oh
And
wow.
so during weight training, I injured my back and I went to the doctor to get it checked out. They told me that, oh, you should be back to normal in about a month. Give it a few weeks. Few weeks passed, still having back issues. And it was so bad to the point where I could not sit down for a long period of time. I couldn't stand up. It felt like, one of those tweaks,
Hmm.
but that led into pretty much almost a year-long injury.
Oh wow.
And so I knew the root cause of it was inflammation. And so that also played a huge part in why I did that. And so getting started into that fast, like I said, within 3 weeks, I started noticing no pain. I was feeling clear-minded. I was able to sleep, and just a number of other health benefits that came along with it. And that was intended to be a 21-day raw food, and it turned into a 60-day.
Okay. All right. Went from 1 month to three.
Yes.
Uh, so let's back all the way back. It's 2008. Let's say February-ish. Now let's go January. Yeah, January 2008. I'm at Perk, and like I said, we went to high school together. We're from the same area.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the article in the paper. I can't remember if this was online or I actually saw it in hand. There was a picture of you. You said you were an athlete, and it said something about 1,000 points. Did you score 1,000 points that year, or your
I
overall?
think that was a combined number
Okay, okay,
throughout my 3 years at Biloxi High.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to me about that. Just your sports career at Biloxi.
Um, I enjoyed it. It didn't, when I think back, I mean, those were great accomplishments, but during the time I was just playing ball, doing what I'd always done. And that's not to toot my own horn or anything. But no, I
You
grew
were the
up playing
truth though. Like you were really good.
Thank you. No, I grew up playing basketball. And so for me, it was just me going out there having fun. Like I said, I started off at D'Iberville my ninth grade year.
I
And
remember.
then I transferred to Biloxi my 10th. And I played there from 10th, 11th, 12th. And so, yeah, Coach Brown, he was our coach at the time. He trusted me and he allowed me to play and be myself. And so, yeah, I loved it at Biloxi.
Good deal.
Had fun times there.
Good deal. So, where did you go after high school?
So after high school, I went to Meridian Community College. I played there for 2 years, um, tore my ACL. And
Uh,
so that I tore my ACL my first year.
mhm.
And that experience I think that was like an eye opener for me, or I guess where my love for the game changed.
Mhm.
I was like, this is putting a lot of wear and tear on my body. And so I think as time went on, I kind of lost the passion for basketball. But I still enjoyed playing because, like I said, it just came natural to me, but it just wasn't my main focus. And so year two, I played a full season, did very well, but I was just ready for a change.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then I remember you being at Southern Miss when I was there.
Went to Southern Miss. I went there the year 2010 to 2011.
Okay.
And after that, I decided to move back home. I took an internship here and worked that summer. And then after that summer, I ended up moving to Vegas. And so I spent a couple years in Vegas, and that's where I joined the military.
Okay. So basically after you tore your ACL that second year, you just said you're done with the sports.
I did. I
Okay.
did.
Okay. All right. And then what made you move out to Vegas?
I found my husband.
Okay. All right.
And I've always been a very spontaneous person, the child, I would say. And my mom will tell you, like, Amber is not, she's a out of the box kid. And so I've always been that way. And anything that was spontaneous, I enjoy doing. And so when the opportunity presented itself to move, I was like, you know what? That doesn't sound like a bad idea. And although it was very spontaneous, it was scary.
Of
But
course.
again, it was something that I was excited about. And I'm glad I did because it allowed me to gain my independence and allowed me to grow as a person, as an individual. And so I learned a lot during that transition. And even after joining the military, I learned a lot as well. A lot of maturing that came along with that. So I feel like it was a good move.
Okay. What made you join the military?
What made me join the military? I think it was one of those things where it's kind of drilled, at least in my family, where it's like you either get a job or you join the military
Right.
or you go to school, right?
Right.
And so I had done both of those. I went to school, I gotten a job, and the only thing that was left was the military. And so also I had student loans from when I went to USM, so I had to pay those back as well.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of what led me down that path. I knew it wasn't going to be long term for me,
Mhm.
but I enjoyed every bit of it. I learned a lot in the military, and I was able to experience things that I don't think I would have experienced had I not.
Okay. All right. And what was your job in the military? Or
I started off as a knowledge operations manager, and so that's pretty much equivalent to like information technology, IT.
okay.
And then they split our career fields, and then I went over to administration. And so I did my last 6 years in administration.
Okay.
And so that's pretty much where I ended.
Gotcha. And what was your highest rank?
I was an E5
Okay. And that's
uh,
staff sergeant.
staff sergeant.
All right. Hey, congratulations. And thank you for serving our
Yeah.
country. Not everybody can do it. I definitely not go down that path. But hey, kudos to you. Did your sister go in the military?
No, she did not. She worked in DC.
Okay.
So she had been in DC for the past 15 or so years.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you're what's so it's 2020. You're still in the military, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So are you still in the military currently or are you retired?
No, I separated. And
Okay.
so during that time, that's kind of where that transition period came, where I was like, I knew that, again, I knew it wasn't going to be long term for me.
Mhm.
I just didn't know what was next for me.
Right.
And during 2020 is when I kind of, I guess, if you will, gained the courage to make the decision. Because when you go from stability, financial stability, and I mean, you pretty much have it laid out for so many years, and to just make a drastic decision like that, it does require a lot of thought. And so once I finally was certain, I prayed about it. I was like, okay, yeah, it's time. So that was in the height of the pandemic. I think I submitted my separation paperwork maybe in, it was a quick turnaround, July,
Okay.
and I had separated by the end of November. So,
Wow.
well, really officially at the end of 2020. So 2021 was my official separation date, but I just used my leave that I had saved up for those last few months.
Right, right, right. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, you all were you on FMLA? Does the military do FMLA?
I don't, what is that?
It's
If it,
it's like the maternity leave and whatnot. Because you
okay, they do offer maternity leave.
okay,
No, so maternity leave, when I was in, it was 16 weeks, I believe.
okay,
And so you get that right after you give birth.
gotcha,
And so you go
gotcha,
straight into maternity leave from there. So no, I actually continued for a year and I separated almost 2 years after.
gotcha. So when was your second son born?
He was born August 2019.
2019. Oh, okay, got you.
So
Okay,
he was born the year before,
got you.
2020. Yes.
Okay, okay, all right, man. That is rough. I know.
Yes.
My wife and I, we had our child 2021, so she got pregnant towards the end of 2020. And
Okay.
me, I don't know if you know, but she's in the medical field, and it was rough, man. It was
Yeah.
rough. Even me as a teacher, I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's that I'm thankful to be back to some kind of normalcy.
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about, you said it's 2020, you're going through your health concerns and whatnot, and you're trying to figure out what you mentioned. What's his name? John Ross, or what was the guy name?
John Ross.
John Ross. Okay.
I'm sorry, John Rose.
John
John
Rose.
Rose.
John Rose.
Yes.
Okay. And besides him, who's somebody else that you kind of reached out to or looked up and just studied their work?
So I kind of went down, and I'm sure like most people who are dealing with health issues and they're just looking for a quick answer and they're not getting answers from their doctors, they go down this rabbit hole. And so I went down a rabbit hole. I went through a bunch of naturopathic doctors because I wanted to find the root cause.
Mhm.
And the more research that I did, and the more, I mean, I spent thousands of dollars, and I'm not exaggerating on the cost, thousands of dollars on naturopathic doctors who pretty much told me the same thing and gave me herbal supplements, which no, not to that,
Right.
but it just, for me, it still wasn't getting down to the root cause. And again, that's what I was looking for. And so people like what's his name? Dr. Josh Axe. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a doctor, the influencer on YouTube, but he's also a doctor who helped his mom through cancer, her battle with cancer. And um, I discovered Dr. Yaki Awaken. He's someone who I actually still follow his work. He's a biochemist, but he kind of like he acts as a doctor, but he helps a lot of people through a lot of health issues. And so there were just a few people, but the person who I really follow now is Dr. Brooke Goldner, and she reversed her lupus. And so she's a medical doctor. She at a young age was diagnosed with lupus, and she met her husband who was a nutritionist at the time, and he helped her with her nutrition. And she discovered as she just started exercising, changing her lifestyle, her numbers were changing. And so now she helps thousands of people cure their autoimmune disease. So I'm very into finding the cure and the root cause. And
Right.
so that's kind of what I look into, and that's kind of what influenced what I am about today.
Okay. Are you training anybody else? Or
Am I training anyone? So
yeah.
I actually do more like health coaching. And
Okay.
so that's just, for me, I like to look at the whole picture, not just fitness or
Right.
nutrition, but also like how are you managing your stress? Things like that. Just finding other alternatives outside of those that one isolated thing.
Right. So how did you go about doing that?
It really just started from word of mouth. I started with my family, and then, well, I would say with myself, people just asking me like, "What are you doing? Like, you look good," and just sharing my personal journey. And it started with family, and then that led to friends, and then friends telling their friends, and family telling their friends. And so I get people come up to me all the time, or they'll message me and say, "Hey, this is what." And I don't claim to be a doctor or anything like that. Right now, I'm studying nutrition, but I do consider myself a health coach. And so when people come up to me, they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" The first thing I ask them is, I like to look at their entire lifestyle. You know, how are you eating? How are you sleeping? What are you doing to manage your stress, and so forth and so on. So that's kind of how it started for me.
Okay. Uh, cool. Is there any particular number of clients you got?
I would say right now, currently about five that I'm working with actively, but over the course of since I've been doing this, I would say close to 20, 25.
Okay. That's what's
Mhm.
up. That is what's
Yeah.
up. So we talked about you getting into shape and whatnot, and you said you always kind of been an athlete. Have you ever considered doing any CrossFit events or powerlifting or weightlifting or even bodybuilding?
To be honest with you, no. That's not really my thing. My thing is just so in the beginning of my fitness journey, I was all about looking good on the outside, but I'm more so focused on looking good and feeling good on the inside, because I notice a lot of fitness influencers, they deal with a lot of health issues. And, I feel like that's a really important responsibility to have. And, influencing people, and they're looking at you and they're like, "Oh, what is she doing? Or what is he doing? I want to do that." But they don't know what you're dealing with personally. And so for me, I'm more focused on ensuring that I'm healthy from the inside out. And so I focus more on, like, again, your whole health. So nutrition, mental health and things like that.
Okay. And what do you do currently as a career?
So right now I went back to school, and I got my undergrad in psychology.
Okay.
And so initially I wanted to pursue mental health counseling. And so I still will. I'm not discounting anything.
Right.
But right now nutrition is my focus. So I'm studying nutrition, currently studying nutrition. And hopefully, eventually, I can merge the two.
Yeah.
And so, but my focus is sticking to health coaching and
Gotcha.
just, getting those certifications.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So talk to me about balancing post pandemic. So kind like kind of right now is balancing your job as a wife, your job as a mom, and then your job is taking care of yourself. Because that's, I mean, I was telling somebody earlier, I mean, the most important person in your life is you, because it's
Yes,
important to somebody in
absolutely.
the class. So tell me how you balance yourself or balance your life and your workload.
Yes. So it's not easy. At least it was not easy for me in the beginning. I found myself, the intent was to put myself first, but when you have small children, obviously they come first. And so early on, after separating, it was because I was also a full-time student. So I'm a full-time student, full-time mom, full-time wife. And so for me, it was they were the priority as much as I wanted school to be, and or to put myself first. It sometimes I had to take those breaks. And so there were times where I took breaks, and with the help of my husband, him helping out, and the help of my family, that helped out a lot. But it took a while for me to put myself first. Again, I was going to when I would go for my checkups, and they would tell me, "Oh, do you have high blood pressure? Does this run through your family?" That's when I really took it seriously, where I said, "You know what? I have to put myself first." And so that's when I started prioritizing my health and um, mental health, and really just started taking care of myself. And now it looks like self first, and then I can take care of my family.
Right.
And so I kind of operate every day in that way.
Okay. All right, and that's not selfish. I mean, there's probably somebody out there thinking, "Oh man,
I
she's
used to feel that way. Mom guilt is real. It's a real thing.
you cannot again, you cannot pour into somebody with an empty glass." So I'm selfish myself, last child of family. So I mean, I'm all about putting me first and then handling the
Yes.
situation. Uh, what I got next for you? So you said no to the athletic career, but I like I said, I follow you on Instagram. Uh, I see you got your kids. Is that in basketball or it's some kind of short sports or something like that?
I have them in everything. So they're in basketball, they just finished swim,
Okay.
football, soccer, anything that comes up, I try and get them involved. And really, I just want to figure out what they enjoy. I always ask them, like, what are you into right now? Or what would you like to play? And even if they hadn't tried it yet, they still hadn't tried baseball. So baseball will be next,
Okay.
just to see what they're into. The same with music. And I just had them in a fashion show last weekend just to
Okay.
see, if it was something that they were interested in. And so, yeah, I believe in exposing your children to as much as possible to figure out what their likes and dislikes are. And so, yeah, they're involved in everything, but currently playing basketball.
Okay. Is that something that your mom and your folks inspire put into you?
She did. My mom was very big on being involved. I can remember her putting me in pageants, and I remember playing tennis and basketball, softball. I did it all. She had me in etiquette classes.
Oh wow.
Yes.
So did you play tennis for the school or just like regular?
No, I took private lessons.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but my wife played tennis in college.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, I beat
Oh,
her.
nice.
I saw our record against each other as 1-1, and I beat her once, and she came back and beat me the next time. But is your husband an athlete, or does he have any sports experience?
He played football, some football in college, but
Oh,
and then he's played a little bit of basketball. He was actually a part of the one of the Air Force base teams,
okay.
basketball teams, and so he's athletic also. Um, but yeah, football and basketball were his things.
Good deal. Good deal. So, how old are your children now?
So my oldest, he's 6, and then my youngest, he's 4. He'll be 5 August 5th. So
Okay.
2 weeks.
Oh wow, man, you.
Yes, 15 months apart.
I was just about to say, Amber, you put some jokers out. God,
Yeah.
dog. I would have been
Very
stressing too.
back to
Is your
back.
husband okay? God, dog.
No, he went through it too. We both went through it. Yes, for
Man.
sure.
I remember when my wife had our baby, I had one coworker, Miss Mabry. She was like, I told her we used to have duty together. I told her, I said, in 9 months we're gonna have another one. It's gonna be a boy. And then like 2 months after that, she was like, Coach Patrick, how's it going? I was like, yeah, that baby ain't happening no time soon. And
Once
then
you got a dose of baby number
right,
one.
right. I was like, no, not again, not again. But
Yes.
mine are about 25 months apart. So
Okay, that's good. I think the
got
more
two
space, the
yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, and my 3-year-old, she can kind of help around. She can keep herself busy. I'll say that.
Yes.
So that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
They don't require as much, just following around them. They're a little bit more independent by that age.
So let's talk about what goals you have for yourself, your career, and all that. So yeah, just talk to me.
So, my ultimate goal, like I said, is to become a dietitian. That's the ultimate goal in the nutrition realm, but also a counselor and merging the two and helping as many people as I can through health coaching and also helping moms overcome postpartum. Like that's for me, that's a huge thing. That's kind of that. I mean, that's really what kickstarted my whole health coaching was that I just wanted to feel better after having kids because you do kind of lose yourself after becoming a mom and it becomes more about everyone else and taking care of everyone else and not only that you're also dealing with the physical effects of those changes and so yeah just helping as many people as many moms as I can through health coaching. And so that's my number one, I guess you could say, career goal.
Got you. Okay. Any timeline on that?
I don't. I one thing I learned about putting a date on timelines or putting a date on your goals, God will show you that it's not our timing, it's his. And so I've learned that very, very early. And
Man,
so everything in God's time for me.
you are not lying, Amber, like at all. I've can attest to that.
Yeah, every time I've set a goal and I'm like, okay, I'm going to complete this at this time, something comes up where it's like I have to postpone or hold off and get back to it later. So I always, anytime someone asks me that, everything in God's time.
I like that. Everything in God's time. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. I went ahead and put your Instagram name up there. I hope you don't mind. Uh,
No, not at all.
but yeah, shout out your Instagram. Shout out anything else you may have or any other projects you may have going on.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at one fit mom. I'm also on Face, that's one underscore fit mom. So
Cool.
one spelled out, zero NE underscore FITMOM. And you can also find me on Facebook at Amber Lacy. That's Amber Lacy. I have a Facebook group on there, and we just post a bunch of health stuff. We share photos, videos, any important information that's been updated. I like to share in the group. So, yeah.
All right. Well, hey, this has been an episode of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corey K. Padgett. And Amber, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Corey, for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Y'all have a good one.